Lachlan Stuart, welcome to the podcast, brother.
Keegs, thanks for having me on, mate.
Mate, how you feeling? Yeah, you've had a very busy morning. Very busy couple of days, actually.
Very busy couple of days flying back from Europe, where I was at a wedding, and then half marathon this morning, and then we just hit P3, which was phenomenal. I'm glad we did that. Right. So I do feel great.
Obviously, I've been watching your stories over the last couple of days, and like off the back of a 30-hour flight, full day of admin into a half marathon this morning, I was like, how do I get like the best out of Lockie today? I was like, let's get in the ice bath, let's get a coffee, and let's settle in. And mate, I don't know about you, but I feel very comfortable right now.
Dude, it's because my breakfast of champions. That's what got us through the.
What'd you end up having this morning?
Just Wonder White bread. My naturopath messaged me last night when she saw I posted that. She's like, I'm dying right now.
Gotcha.
Like, this is all there is. Wonder White bread with peanut butter and honey.
Yeah, gotcha.
Worked a treat.
How was the half this morning? How are you feeling?
Amazing. Yeah. It was a really fun run. I don't think I had any expectation.
Yeah.
Originally, I wanted to bang it out.
Yeah.
But then 2 weeks in Europe at a wedding and things like that, things pop up, opportunities to try nice wines and champagnes popped up, and that sort of then took away the focus from running. So
Gotcha.
I had no pressure, which was great, but yeah, it went really well. I did a PB anyway.
That's so wild.
Yeah.
But even talking this morning in the IS, you were saying like it's so nice to like not have the pressure there and just go out, and then when you do it, you just do a PB.
Literally, yeah.
How wild is that?
It was fun. Like I genuinely enjoyed it. There was a guy who was doing the 1 hour 30 pacer.
Yeah.
Whoever that dude was, if you're watching this, you're a legend. Like the whole time, he's just hyping everyone up. He's like, just settle in, and just look at the beautiful sunrise, enjoy it. You're only going to be here once. I was like, right on, man.
What? So did you have like a little crew that was sticking at that 130 pace?
No, so I ended up jumping ahead of them, but my goal was to, because I didn't really know how I was going to run, whether I was going to burn out or jet lag would kick in. I was like, if I can sit ahead of them, worst case, I'll slow down and just hang on.
Sure.
But I didn't see him again, which was great. So, so I kept his voice in my mind, just being like, look up, look around, enjoy it. And that's what we did. So it was a great run, no pressure, but I also stuck to a pretty cool game plan.
Nice, man. Yeah, it's cool that you just like nutted it out and grinded it out like after a wild 24, 48, 72 hours.
I think it's always comes back to choice. Yeah. Previously, I would have always thought about, I don't want to do this. This is the last. And to be fair, it was the last thing I felt like doing. My wife's, we're moving. There's plenty of other things I should be doing. Yeah. But I committed to doing it, and I chose to do it. Therefore, if I've chosen to do it, I want to enjoy it. So what does that then look like? And it's like, well, show up, smile. I didn't have the right food. I didn't have the best preparation, but I'm here. Let's have some fun with it.
Mate, there's, so cool. And to be honest, man, like, I know we've been talking on socials for a little while now. So it's cool that we could actually sit down and do this, man. Like, and also like watch your story from afar, like as it's been taking place. Like the 58 marathons in 58 days in 58 states is something that I'm keen to discuss today, as well as like playing professionally over in France and all the things, which I like. It's kind of like similar half stories as well. But interested to know like, where does like all this start? Like if you were to like, if there was like a documentary like my story started here, where do you think that story starts?
I feel like it starts, I'd say probably 2013 when I moved back from France, because probably similar to you, your whole identity and everything you put into it is wanting to be an athlete. And for me, that's all I ever aspired to do. And then when I realized that wasn't going to be my future moving forward, I didn't know what was next. I didn't go to university. I wasn't amazing at school. I didn't want to do a trade because I didn't sort of see how that would fit into my idea of success. So I didn't know what on earth I was going to do. Yeah. And I guess off the back of that, I started doing a trade with my dad. My dad's a chippy. And so as I was doing that, it was the wrong environment, and I got into the drinking and the partying too much, and I found myself in a position where I'd made some mistakes and I wasn't proud of who I was. I went to a great school, have a great family, had opportunity, and I was, finding myself in trouble, and I wasn't proud of that. Yeah. And in that moment, I was like, I'm just going to change it. I didn't know what that was, but it was a decision that ultimately changed everything. Because
I know you mentioned that you had planned to come play NRL at the Gold Coast Titans, but then ended up going over to France to play a number of years over there.
Yeah, so I was playing just north of Paris, which was a phenomenal experience.
Beautiful. So tough place to be for a couple of years.
Very tough place to be, but a phenomenal experience. So I went over there at 21. Yeah. And I'd been learning French 6 months previous to going over there, and I was super excited. got to off the train in Paris, and my coach and English speaking bloke was there, because a lot of guys don't speak English over there, and he's gone, ça va, ça va, ça va, and I was like, what? Isn't it comment ça va? What are you doing? And then I realised they spoke slang, but I was fortunate when mum came over with me, and the best thing about having mum there for the first month was she set up my apartment, made it homely, and I sort of got a feel for everything, and that was, I guess, my first experience of, I had, lived out of home before that, but becoming a man really, and just being like, okay, this is the opportunity that I've got. Let's crack in and see what we can do with it. And it was also a fresh start. And if I'm being completely honest, the reason why I went to France was I'd had a relationship breakdown here. And I went over there because I was like, I would want to prove to everyone that I'm better than how I've been acting, and I want to make her regret ever breaking up with me.
Mate, that's interesting. And it's interesting because like, I know when it comes to like mental health, I know you deal a lot in this space. You've raised a lot of money for mental health charities. You obviously do a lot of coaching as well. And I'm keen to get your take on it, but like, I know statistics that I get from Movember and whatnot. It's like financial stress and relationship stress are two of the biggest contributors to poor mental health, right? So for you to have like lived it and been in that situation, like it probably makes it a lot easier to have the conversation with other guys, right?
For sure. And I think that's, to your point, like previously, I think even up until 6 years ago, mental health was really commonly mistaken with mental illness. And then they started going, hey, maybe things that can also impact people's mental health is your relationship, is your job satisfaction or financial pressure. And, then you start looking at, okay, if my mate's going through a tough time in his relationship right now, that's when I should really be checking in on him more frequently. Or if I'm struggling financially, and I think it's an important thing to talk about now, like I've come back to Australia, right, and the cost of living here is gnarly. Like it's insane. I'm fortunate that financially it doesn't impact me as much as it once did, but I still remember what that felt like, and the pressure that then you're working longer hours, you're trying to get ahead, you're snapping at your missus, that's putting pressure on your relationship, and then your whole world starts falling apart. And it's not a fun place to be living, like, because I work a lot in the men's mental health space. I believe every man is a legend and has a good heart, but we just get lost along the way with trying to do certain things, and the pressure gets on top of us, and then that can lead to us doing things that, saying things that we regret, or doing things that we regret, or, worst case scenario, not being here anymore.
Mate, tell me a little bit more about when you came back, because I've heard in like previous interviews that you said it was like obviously pretty gnarly time, drinking a lot. I think I remember you said like there was one time where it was like come to moment where you had like a lot of people like staring at you, or you did something that happened. Like what happened?
So I got in a fight at a pub. So we were at a nightclub in Toowoomba called Tomba's, and we'd just finished a game of footy, and same thing, like a bar fight happened, and this dude was fighting my mate, or King hit my mate, and then I just started punching him, and I was the one who got taken downstairs by the police. And so I'm sitting at the bottom of the stairs at Tomba's, in cuffs at this point, and I was just like, that's when that whole thing happens, because everyone's looking at you as this like degenerate, really. And I'm like, I don't like the eyes on me anyway, and the fact that I'm sitting here with police around me, that's a horrible feeling. You feel disgusting. And that was literally that turning point for me, where I was like, okay, well, I'm not a good person when I'm drinking. I don't have purpose at the moment. I need to figure out something to do that's going to make me better. And it was just in that moment that I was like, okay, I'm moving to Brisbane. And from that decision, and I don't know the exact timeline, but I always say it's roughly 3 months, I met my now wife. I got invited to my first personal development event, and I went to that event. And for anyone who's ever been to like a Tony Robbins style event, everyone's high-fiving, hugging, and jumping on chairs, and coming from like a footy background.
It's so polar opposite.
Oh mate, I was like, don't touch me. You touch me, don't come near me. But there was one guy on that stage who was a bricklayer, or previously was a bricklayer. And listening to his story, how he was going to take his life, and his sister saw what was going on, and she just, got around him and just started inviting him to things, and was just trying to make him see the value in himself that she saw in him. And that obviously put him in a position where he's on stage now sharing that story. And I was at this event, I was there with a guy called Tommy Crockett, who was a really good football player as well, and my mum. And I remember turning to mum and I was like, I'm going to do that. Like, I don't have any idea what I'm going to talk about or how on earth I'm going to get there, but that's what I'm going to do. And I walked away from that, And that was so pivotal in my life because I got into sales off the back of that in health supplements. And I was then like running workshops and events to try and show people how they can be better with their nutrition, and got into personal training. And I started having this taste and hunger, and I just had something to build towards.
Yeah.
And the best part that I believe was I was documenting it on Instagram.
Gotcha, because that would have been like 2014.
Yeah, this was 2014. Instagram was like, it was weird to see. Like, I had Facebook pages made about me. So I had a hashtag back in the day called Unrestricted Living. You could probably look it up.
Yeah.
Where I'd put like motivational posts and do things like that. And even my mates that I'd play footy with were building Facebook pages about me, like just ripping me.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't been this excited for so long.
Interesting.
And I just went all in on it. And then off the back of that, I had men, women messaging me, being like, what's your thoughts on this? Or I appreciate you sharing that because I'm feeling like that. And I realized, one, I wasn't alone, but then I was starting to think, hey, I want to have access to men from all walks of life because I have always wanted to be successful. I don't know whether you have that same drive. I feel like you definitely do. But I didn't really know what that looked like after sport. And so I remember I was in Austria one day walking to get a pint in a palmy, and I put a story, or it wasn't even a story, it would have been a post back then, just saying, when I get back to Brisbane, we're going to run a men's circle and it's open to whoever. And we ended up, over the next sort of 12 months, we're filling them out at 30 blokes every time, but we had doctors, lawyers, athletes, bricklayers, guys who'd just finished school and had no idea. But watching that circle, being able to see people that financially, I was like, they're the king.
Yeah.
And then watching guys who had incredible lifestyles, watching professional athletes just have common interests and share challenges or give insights and perspectives to each other and just connect. There was no titles. I was like, this is phenomenal. And that's when I started thinking, and we were talking about it in the spa just before, where it's like, how cool would it be to create a life that you genuinely love that has no restrictions?
Yeah.
And I looked at the lawyers, for example, who were working 70 hours a week. Yeah, financially they were doing well, but their lifestyle wasn't flexible. So their relationships were falling apart. And I was like, okay, well, I want the money, but I don't want that.
Yeah.
And then I watched an athlete who had a lot of great health, but they had their own challenges. Then I watched the bricklayer who had his own challenges, and I was like, okay, I want this, I want that, I want that, I don't want that, I don't want that, I don't want that. And so that's when I was like, okay, well, how could I get paid doing what I love and sort of build something that works with my lifestyle? And that was when I guess got into building a business.
Mate, there's so many like parts of that I want to pick apart. Like there's so many cool things. I think that the first thing that came to mind was around when like the boys were putting like a lot of shit on you, right? Like,
oh, dude.
But like especially in footy, like gnarly spot. Like I remember when I finished school in 2014.
Yeah.
So
oh man.
Apologies. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that to you. But I went. My first professional gig was at Bronx at the Brisbane Broncos. So I was 17 in 2014. Rolled in, and like obviously like super scared. You looked at like all your idols are in this team. Like, but no one was. Like I was like social media and content was like no one was really doing it in our circles. Except for two guys, Geordie Kahu and Alex Glenn.
Yep.
And they're like Geordie's now a videographer. Shot Paddy Mahomes. I'm blanking. Paddy
Mahomes? Are you saying
no? Not Paddy Mahomes. This is so bad. This is terrible podcasting.
Oh, basketballer.
Yes.
Patrick Mills.
Yes. I don't know how I forgot that. But they've went on to do like incredible things.
I love his content. Man.
Love his content. I love shooting like surf stuff growing up because on the Gold Coast, me and my buddy would always like go out shooting surfing. But I was scared to do it in that environment because scared the boys would put shit on me. Geordie and Alex were doing it. They didn't give a shit. They were playing Kiwis, playing for New Zealand, their country, but they were still documenting the stuff. And I always thought like, that is so cool that they've got the balls to be able to do that. Me, I had no idea. I was scared to even speak up.
Why do you reckon that?
I was 17. Like, true. I didn't even know who I was. I was still trying to figure out like who I was as a person, let alone like putting myself out there.
For sure.
So I have a lot of respect for you to come back and obviously still being in footy circles. But the boys still putting shit, like making Facebook pages on them.
Dude, it was horrifying.
But then like still having the success of like people coming into the circles from all different walks of life. Was there any, I guess where I was getting at, was there any times that you thought like, oh, I don't know if this is the right 100% direction?
Every day. Yeah. Like there's nothing worse than having your closest mates rip shit on you.
Yeah.
Like, I got to the point and I would never do this again. I'm smarter and wise now. But like I stopped talking to everyone for like 4 years.
Wow.
Just cut them off because I'd been in a position where I wasn't proud of my life and like I didn't want to live.
Yeah.
And when you get to that was my rock bottom, it's like you've got two decisions. You either like sit there and wallow in the mud and just blame everyone and everything, or you do something different. And I chose to do something different. So I was like, okay, well, regardless of what they say, like I still love them. They're still my mates, but at the moment it's just like too hard to listen to them or be around them, because if I do, then I'm going to continue doing the same shit that I've always done, which isn't making me happy.
Yeah.
So after a number of years, like I work with a couple of them now, which is crazy. Right? Like, and I got to a point where I was so far down the track. I've been doing so much personal development, building a business, using social media, that no one even knew who I was, the people that I was hanging around, who I was previously. And I felt lonely because there was things that I wanted to talk about. There was people, like my mates they live on farms or in Toowoomba, and love catching up with them. And Amy, my wife, had never met them, and this is like 4 or 5 years into our relationship. And I was like, I need to get them back in my life and I need to make the effort. So I had to go back and like apologize and meet their wives and do all of that again, which was a humbling experience. But I needed to do that at that point in my life, because I could sit here right now and just say I wouldn't be in this position had I not distanced myself, because I wasn't strong enough. Similar to you, I didn't know who the hell I was.
Yeah.
I just knew that I didn't want to keep living like this.
Yeah. You also talked about purpose, and you, after that seminar, you were like excited.
Yeah.
You had all this excitement about what you wanted to do. I think a lot about like finding purpose. Like keen to get your thoughts on it. When I was playing footy, I was constantly like trying different things, like property. So I did mortgage brokering,
Did you? It's awesome.
Yeah, like random. Like I liked coffee, right?
Yeah.
And so I thought maybe I'll open a cafe. So I got my barista's license and like just random shit. And when I finished up playing footy, I was like, I still have no idea what I want to do. I knew everything I didn't want to do, but I was still trying to like figure out what I wanted to do for the next 10, 20 years. Because I was like, it's there. And I think a lot of people have that thought where they're like, I have all these great ideas, or like I'm just trying to figure out what my thing is.
Yeah.
And for me, it was just about trying a whole heap of different things. And then I realized that like mental health, I always was curious about that. I did stuff with Movember. So I was like, then I started like podcasts and studying psychology, and it all just fit together. Where did you go after that, that talk? Because you said you had all this energy.
Yeah.
You're like, I want to be that guy on stage. What were like the next steps that you took to get to where you are now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I agree with everything that you said, like trying new things. A lot of people are like hats off to you as well. Like you're playing footy and you're still trying different things. I think when people find what they think is their thing, or the thing for a period of time, they don't do anything else.
Yeah.
And you lose yourself. People do it as parents, right?
Yeah.
It's a really common thing. For me, the next steps, I was working as a chippy still, and then I got into sales after that. I gave myself a deadline in November. I was like, right, by November, I want to be out of the building game and doing, this sales and whatever comes next. Got into the sales, that was working well, but then I didn't have enough money, so then I got into Uber driving. I went back on the tools, started doing personal training. I was at a lunch with the guy that I mentioned to you, a good mentor of mine, at an Italian bar. He's like, man, I run a gym, if you ever want to come work there, awesome. And I was a couple of months after that, I was like, I'm going to do that. 2017 that was, I think. And being around him, he's a really high achiever, and he gave me a lot of kicks up the arse, but he taught me a lot about business and community, and he helped me create what I've created today. But it was just focusing on one thing. I had the shiny disco ball thing where it's like, I could do this or I could do that. I want to do all of these things, but it's like, just find one thing. Like, what do you really enjoy and what are you interested in right now? Yeah. And can you make that into a business? And for me, as I said, when I put that men's group thing up, we were running them for a year, right? So we had 30 men it used to be the Flying Cock. I don't know if you remember that nightclub in Brisbane.
Yeah, bro. Whoa.
Yeah.
What a flashback.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Oh my God.
So we were doing them there on a Wednesday night. But the same patterns kept popping up, and these dudes were coming back every month, and nothing had changed. So I was starting to get bogged down with all their crap because I'm trying to get ahead in my life and grow and develop, and these guys are just coming and sharing things, but they're not doing anything about it. And that's when I was like, okay, what do I need to do in order to help these guys change? And so I went and did like NLP and studied various other things.
What's NLP?
Neuro-linguistic programming. So just like understanding the mind and language, how you use language to get what you want essentially
Yeah.
with your mind. And then I went, okay, well, from here, I'm now going to help them do things that change their life that I believe that similar to what have helped me. So we started running workshops and retreats, which was awesome. But that was just like my purpose, because originally when I started the mental health thing, it's like I was trying to improve my mental health, and I was trying to find something that got me out of bed excited. And that for me was just like two things I could focus on, and one improved the other. When I found that thing, my mental health, I still have bad days, but more often than not, I'm loving it.
Yeah.
And so then I realized, hey, if I can help guys have more better days than bad days, their mental health's going to improve. They're going to be better men, better husbands, better business, better across the board. And so I looked at how can we do that? And I developed the framework that we use, that I use in my own life. And then we started running that at workshops, and then I started seeing these results happen. And so the things that I put into my own life, and the simple things would be like, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Yeah.
That's hard to ask someone at 17, because you're like, that's the third of my life, dude. Maybe let's start with 12 months.
Yeah.
But as you get older, like I'm 34 now.
Looking good for 34, bro.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I'm going grey and it's
Yeah,
falling out. But
good.
it's a lot easier to project or think, 5 years down the track, what does that look like? Not only financially, but like if you're in a relationship or various other areas, and you start there and work back.
Yeah.
Then we start looking at like, how are you using your time right now? What's your ideal day? Even for me yesterday, documenting every 15 minutes, like to work out where am I wasting time and what am I doing that I shouldn't be doing to give to staff, so we can free up time to do the things that we want. Because much like you, I want a life where I can choose to go overseas next week if I wanted to, or I can take the afternoon off and go hang out with my wife, or if I want to go run a marathon with you or whatever, we can go do those things because that's exciting. Most people think about that, they go, it's not possible.
Yeah.
So how do we change the beliefs in your mind to make you go from someone who thinks, I can't do that, I can't afford that, or they don't like me, to I can afford that, I can do that, and they do like me.
Where do you think the belief of that comes from? Is it getting runs on the board?
Runs on the board, for sure. And it starts with small wins at home. So, they talk about the military one where it's like you make your bed, or I can't do that because my wife sleeps in longer than me. But for me, it's just like I write a lot, and I think about things in my life, and I just collect evidence. I know people talk about that a lot, but there's a lot of evidence in everyone's life around things that you've done poorly that you can lean on, and most of us look at that. But there's also a lot more evidence around things that you've done well. And I look at it like, how I get excited about life is creating a bucket list. People talk about that. What are the things that you want to experience? I want to go to Tottenham White Hart Lane, and being on here is something pretty exciting for me. But then there's also the reverse bucket list. The reverse bucket list is where you just go back through and look at all the cool shit that you've done. Yeah. And you can appreciate and have a moment of gratitude for the things that you've had. And when you can sort of float between the both of them, it's like, it's really hard to be unhappy, because I've had an incredible life, but I've also got so much more to come. Because I don't know whether you experienced it, Keegan, when you finished footy, but you're like, what's next? I think you might have, because you did do a few different things, but I'm sure you're a part of the Players Association, right? And I'm sure a lot of the athletes there are like, what's next?
Yeah, it's a big topic of conversation. Like I think, and you can see the guys who are thinking about it now, like while they're playing, they transition out so much better. But I love what you said about the reverse bucket list. I've never heard of that before. Like I obviously like the bucket list, things we want to do.
Yeah.
But the things that like we've already done, because I'm a big fan of like gratitude, gratefulness. I think that's really great. I think that's a great way to, I guess, like rewire our brains to start seeing the glass half full instead of glass half empty. But like actually writing them down. Like you said, you're a big writer. Is that something that you're actually physically writing?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm not practicing like a reverse bucket list every day, but I'll do it, every 6 months or every 12 months.
Sure.
Or, if I'm running someone through how to do it, I'm like, I might as well rejig and think about the other cool stuff. Like, because I live an epic life.
Yeah.
And life goes so quickly that you forget to stop and take it all in. And a habit that I've made is I write every day. And this is from someone who played footy, wasn't good at school, hated English. Now it's like the most important thing to me.
Why?
It just helps me unpack my mind and my thoughts. I feel when I don't write, my mind's like a blender, and you've just thrown every fruit possible in there and you're trying to say, pick the blueberry. Yeah. It's hard to do. But when I write, I'm like, okay, I can put that here, I can put that there. This has been on my mind. Why is that on my mind? Or what did I'm stressing about this from last week. Why am I stressing about it? And you just put it into perspective, and you can then create a timeline to I guess, make it make sense to you. And then all of a sudden I'm not feeling overwhelmed. And I'm a much better dude when I'm not overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And so it's just become a habit. And there's Jim Rohn. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Jim Rohn. Yeah. It's the reason why I love even this. Like, we're documenting our lives through camera at the moment. Yeah. But Jim Rohn said there's 3 things that you'll leave behind, or you should leave behind. It's your diaries, or your journal, sorry. So people understand how you thought, which I think is incredible. And I've got heaps of journals. Your photographs, or now videos or YouTubes or podcasts. It's like, so people can watch chapters of your life.
Yeah.
Like, imagine watching your parents, man, on YouTube.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, 100%.
Wild.
Yeah, man.
And then it's, what's the third one? Your book. Okay. So they understand what you consumed, right? And obviously now it might be podcasts and things like that, because I think it's so important. Like, there's nothing better than giving someone a book.
Yeah.
And really, like, writing in the front page and saying, hey, this is what you spoke to me about last week. Really feel like this book would be extremely helpful for you.
Man, I love that. I think that's so cool. I love reading, and I think, and some of my favorite presents are books. Even when someone if it's a book that was theirs prior, and you know when you got their their own highlighted, or they've made some little notes on, you're like, oh, this is where their head goes.
How good's that? That's
so sick.
So then you can understand how that person was shaped, and I think because there would be so many people, Keegan, who listen to your podcast and they wonder about you, like really wonder what you're like when the camera's not on. And to get access to that would be a privilege, right? Because you are who you are. And so the books that you consume, the podcasts that you consume, what you write in your journal, the notes that you take have made you who you are, and the people that you know and experiences that you've had. So that's why I think it's so important when you think about who you spend time with, is you get to learn from people who are putting in the work every day, and the compound effect of what they've consumed. So it can be good, or it can be shocking as well.
I know you do a lot on social media, and I'm keen to talk about the big runs and events that you've done. Do you think there's a negative side to putting so much out there? I think about this all the time. I'm like, obviously, we're in, I guess, the media space, in the social space. I think there's so much positives that's come with social media. It's really cool. But do you think that there's any negatives to sharing so much personal stuff online?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's hard to know what the line is, and I think it would be different for everyone. Like, my wife and I are going through IVF, and she decided to put that on social media, and she's obviously in the public eye as well. Yeah. So it's everywhere. And even when we're going in for our checkups and all of that sort of stuff, doctors are saying it in the foyer. They're like, oh, Amy, telling all your personal information. You're like, come on. This is a personal experience, and Amy did it so she could talk about it, because it's, good to talk about things. But would I have put that out there? Probably not.
Yeah.
So I think there is, but I also think, I remember when I was CrossFitting back in the day, and I was like, I'd love to know what Matt Fraser does day in, day out, or Rich Froning. And now some people give the insight. So I think every individual gets to decide what that boundary looks like, really.
Yeah. Selfishly, it's good for us to get the insight into it, because I look at guys like Rogan, right? Like, one of the biggest podcaster in the world, but he doesn't really talk about his kids and family that often. You don't really get an insight into that side of him. Yeah. Whereas a lot of other guys and girls, they share everything, the deepest, darkest things of their relationships. And so I'm trying to figure out where, as you said, where's the line?
Well, I think you just brought it up then. I guess where the line is comes to why you use it. Yeah. So for me, I use social media for my business to relate to the people that I'm trying to help. So I'll share things that I feel could help. There's times definitely where I'll share too much, and I'm like, what's the intention of that? That was pointless. Take that down. But if I believe it's something that can help someone relate to something, or know that they're not alone in it, I'll more than likely share it. And I feel like for you might do the same. But one thing I've really enjoyed you putting out lately is bringing us along for the ride in your fitness stuff. It's not just for me, that was awesome seeing you getting into endurance sports, right? Yeah. As opposed to just going, he's just podcasting. So I've enjoyed that for you. So to be fair, I think people who follow you would probably enjoy seeing more of your life, but it's also, you got to ask yourself, well, for what purpose would I share that? And if it's going to connect you more, maybe, awesome.
I like that. And hey, likewise, I've enjoyed following your journey, especially since you started the journey into into running, like, and like, and I played that, like we mentioned before, like 58 marathon in 58 days in 58 states. And I know you've done events and stuff like this prior.
Yeah.
Not too many footy players go from like footy into like ultra, like training this hard at physical events. Why? Like, why?
If
pretty rare, man. Like,
no, too many head knocks now. But I think it all started because that event, you know, we said it's not really our thing. Well, it wasn't my thing, jumping on tables and high-fiving and doing all of that. But I asked myself, like, for what purpose do they do that? And it's to change your emotional state. And so I thought about what other ways can I change my state and have an impact on people, and it's through fitness. You know, best thing about footy is like you're suffering with your mates, like you form a bond that is so thick because you're the ones going to training when it's cold, when it's wet, when it's hot, right? And you get all those experiences and your mates for life. And a lot of people don't get that if they don't play sports, or especially if they're not professional athletes, they don't get that. So we started doing charity fundraisers, which were team events, from rowing events to like WOD events, like, but just brought people together and made them team events. And off the back of that, we started raising funds, and the events started getting more extreme to the point where I'm like, I can't keep getting everyone involved in this because of liability and all of that. But I want to keep doing it. I want to see what I'm capable of, and I want to inspire people to do hard stuff because I think you learn a lot through that. Yeah. And so I think it was 2022, I took on the biggest one because I'd done 12-hour challenges and, you know, all of those sorts of things. And it's like, that's not enough. I haven't seen what my breaking point is. And 2022, I broke the world record for most rowing marathons in a row. I did 30 in 30 days, but I didn't document it very well. We got some footage, but I didn't bring a documentary out. And I looked back on that and I learned, I'm like, okay, well, we'd always done that to inspire people, yet I put myself through hell and I didn't reach my breaking point, but there's so much more I could do to raise awareness to help the people that I want to help. And that's where I was speaking to the Iron Cowboy when I was in the US. And for those who don't know, Iron Cowboy is like my idol. So it's like
he's like heavy in the ultra endurance space, right? Yeah.
He's going to be the goat.
He's the goat.
Ultra, I believe. He did 50 Ironmen in 50 days across all 50 states of the US.
See, that
and took his family with him.
That's so gnarly, bro.
Dude, nuts. And then he did 100. But anyway, so I was talking to him and he was sharing like how an event like that changed the course of his life. He was raising funds for childhood obesity, but he also insane athlete. And there's a difference between what I did because I knew it was possible because he'd already done it as an Ironman. Where go back to 2014 when he did it, no one had ever done anything like that. Yeah. And so he's pioneering something and also doesn't know whether the human body can do it. So what he did was mind blowing. Yeah. And he's just like, man, I think like it would be awesome for you. You've already done these things, but if you're going to do it in a way that's going to achieve what you want. And that to me was like looking at the bigger picture of where I saw myself in 5 years. And this is why I believe it's extremely important to do that. Like I have career goals, I have impact goals, I have personal challenges. I want to live a life by design, similar to you. And how can I use this to help me not only raise the amount of funds that we wanted to raise for mental health, but document it. And because we were running in snow and we were obviously hitting the tropics of Darwin in summer, it was all seasons, all terrain. And I was like, this is perfect. Like the story around this is all seasons, all terrain, because that's mental health. Like some days you're in winter, you're in the season of winter and you feel alone, you feel isolated. It just feels like nothing's going right. Like I hate winter. But then around the corner is summer, right? And summer is a beautiful time. You feel like you're surrounded by the best people. Everything you do turns to gold and life's amazing. But I want to document that. And that's off the back of that. I was like, cool, this is the way that I do it. And we're going to do the 58-day Yeah Buddy Challenge so we can get people involved. And I took that idea from Ned Brockman. Like I saw how he brought the community together because as I said, I didn't want to bring people on that with me because it was such a crazy event and like I had to be by myself for that to complete it. But I wanted people to feel like they were part of it as well and not only just raise funds for it, but actually make their own challenges that they could work towards. And yeah, that's sort of how I got into that and the evolution of it.
It's super impressive because I know your goal was to raise 100,000 for the Mental Awareness Foundation. End up raising like 160 grand or something.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Something insane, which is like props to you, man. Like
Thank you.
That's really impressive. But what I want to like dial in on is that you wanted to see what you were capable of, and you said that people who do hard things, you typically learn a lot about yourself. What do you think the things that you've learned, like doing these challenges, like because you've done a few of them now, you've got a fair few ones on the board now. What do you think are the biggest takeaways?
I think the biggest one is we're capable of more than we originally thought. I had run 4 marathons in my life prior to that, and when the first sponsor came on board, I was like, oh, this isn't just like me talking about it, this is happening. Can I run 58 marathons? Like, can the body do that logistically? All the doubt went through my mind, but we made it happen, and I got injured on day 1. So like day 1...
Tell me a little bit more about it.
So day 1, Alaska, most people can imagine what Alaska's like, snowy and icy. I didn't have the right shoes, but everyone on the internet, which is a great
running
place.
in joggers on ice.
yeah, slippery. But everyone's like, get snowshoes or trail shoes at least, and I was like, nah. And then the night before, I was like, okay, I probably should. So I went and got them, but I didn't try them on, threw them on for a marathon, and because I was also had a lot of doubters and a lot of hate on the internet, I was like, I'm going to prove everyone wrong. This was the ego driving that. I'm like, I'm going to bang these all out sub 4 hour marathons. And so 5K in, my toes just hitting the top of my shoe just over and over again. I'm like, this is not good. Should probably stop and sort that out. But the other part of me is like, we're on track to do a sub 4 hour. Let's make an opening statement. So the next 37 kilometers, toes just banging. When I finished, got inside, took my sock off, and my toe had already started going black, and I was like, oh man, made a mistake here. Jumped on a flight, flew to Seattle. Seattle the next day, my ankle is now swollen as well. Day 3, both ankles are swollen, and my toe's black. I was like, maybe I just need to pop that toenail. So I popped the toenail. Day 4, like my ankles.
Are you still doing marathons on
I'm doing
days?
marathons every day, like still running. This is what's crazy. But then day 4, my shins are literally the same size as my calves. You could just touch them and the fluid was everywhere. And doctors and people on the internet are like, you've got stress fractures, you've got compartment syndrome. And I'm panicking because I didn't have health insurance over there. I didn't have a medic on with me, and I'd never had any of those injuries, so I didn't know what to expect. Day 5, I put my feet on the ground and I was like, oh, like just fire, just straight up my legs. And we were in West Wendover, Nevada, so it was minus 12 outside at this point. So I've hobbled over to the showers because we're staying in an RV park. I'm thinking, okay, how much hot water do I need to put on my ankles to like sort this out? Wasn't enough. So I walked back into the motorhome and I said to Liam, I was like, I can't run anywhere today. Like, I'm going to go over to the baseball field just across the road. I was going to start walking laps. Like, it was the most pain I've ever experienced. And so when I started walking, I'm looking down at my watch and it's 14 minutes per kilometer in minus 12 degrees. You do the math on that, you're like, okay, I'll be out here for about 10 plus hours. This is going to be a miserable day. And that was the day where I just beat myself up. I'm embarrassed because I injured myself. I don't know what's going on. I've still got 3 more marathons. I said I was going to raise $100,000. I've got all these sponsors. Like, the pressure was just booming. And must have been like just over halfway. Like, I had a chill. I would say a chill, but it was like a wave washed over me where I was like, dude, you chose to do this. Like, don't be bitter. Don't beat yourself up. It's like, you chose to do this and you get to do this. There would be so many people who would love to do what you're doing. You're on a trip with some great mates. You're doing something that no one's ever done. And this is what you want. Like, this is what you wanted. I set out to see what I was capable of. And in the moment that I was being tested, which was the previous 5 days, I was not responding in the way that I thought I should have. I thought it would have been easy because I'd got to the start line. But getting to the start line is the easy part. It's doing the thing that's the hard part. And from that moment, I was like, gave myself a little bit of wave of motivation, and I tried to run again, and that lasted all of about 4 steps. And the pain was just too much. But maybe 5K later, Liam, my brother-in-law, who's a tour guy, he's like, mate, answer your phone. The physio's been trying to call you from Brisbane. And so I called Paul Pegley, and this guy saved my life. And he's like, all right, mate, do you want me to treat you as a friend or as a health professional? I was like, as a friend. Because all the doctors were like, don't take ibuprofen, don't do this because you're already under immense amount of stress.
Yeah.
So, all right, the goal is you need to get your inflammation down as quickly as possible and we'll get you back running in 2 weeks. And in that moment, like the belief of a health professional, I just was like so excited. I was like, okay, whatever you say, we're going to do. And that then sort of led, finished that one 10.5 hours, but then I followed everything that he did. And over the next 2 weeks, we got back to running and I got back to running sub 4 hour marathons.
So you were walking every day?
Every day.
Just the 10-hour days, yeah.
Yeah, or Etienne, my mate, rocked up from France. I played rugby with him and he's like, we're going to have a strategy. How far do you think you can run today? I was like, 300 meters today. And this was starting in Chicago. So we did 300 meter run, 2 kilometer walk, and we just alternated. The next day was 400 meter walk, 1900, and we got, increased the distance. So having his strategy, I wouldn't have even thought of that, was also game changing. But the best thing that I guess I took away from that was one, my body healed itself when all health professionals, no one, even myself, I was like, I'm screwed here.
Yeah.
I got my ankles back and I was running sub 4 hour marathons again, which is mind blowing. So you are capable of so much more than you think. The second one was you have to allow people to help you. I had a team with me, but I wasn't allowing them to help me. I was still filling up my water. I was taking all my food. I was making sure my gloves and everything, and I wouldn't let them do anything. Day 17 was a shocker, and I ran off without my gloves, and it was freezing, like snowing, and I had to call the guys 8K away, and I was like, I think I'm done here. Like, I'm cooked. Can you come get me? And they came over, and I just remember I was going to blast them. Like, I was walking back to the car, and I was ready to just rip them. And in that moment, I was like, well, you haven't allowed them to help you. You haven't told them what to do. They're here. They've flown over from Australia to help you.
Yeah.
And you're not allowing them to help you because I've always believed if you want something done well, do it yourself. And that night I was like, okay, boys, this is what I need from you because I'm losing my mind. Like, I'm not thinking properly. I'm forgetting things. All I need to do is make sure I put my Instagram posts up every day and run. That's it. I need you guys to do everything else. And so that was another lesson. Another lesson as well, third lesson was also just the importance of like communication. I learned this from every day. I was sort of talking about, this is me trying to break the 4 hour marathon and giving dot points and key learning points, which no one wanted to hear about, but like the transparency of like, this is me screwed because I wanted to document all seasons, all terrains. Yeah. But I wasn't showing people all seasons, all terrains. I was just showing people, hey, I finished another marathon. This is my learnings. Be awesome. I think it was day 16 when I started being honest and I was like, I'm really struggling here. Or this day, like I'm not talking to anyone. That's when like the audience really started resonating. And I also felt better because I have never really wanted to put my burden onto other people, which I think is probably something you talk a lot about with psychology as well. But the moment that I was allowing people in, more people were able to help as well. Yeah,
man, so many. I love those 3 learnings, man. I think like that last bit as well, like being open to allowing people to help, and especially like even that bit where you were like being open about your own vulnerabilities, because I think when we are open about our own vulnerabilities, like I don't know, especially with someone like one-on-one, it obviously doesn't have to be in a podcast setting. Yeah, but in like behind closed doors, like. I find personally, and can you get your thoughts? Like, but when I'm open with someone, like it's like opens the game. They're more likely to be vulnerable with me. Do you find that?
100%.
Yeah.
Because someone has to go first.
Yeah.
And I think knowing what you know, and you're obviously in an influential position from the potty and from footy and stuff. And so when people see like people like you being open, they're like, whoa, I thought he had it all figured out and he had everything dialed in, but he's still struggling. It's okay for me to struggle as well because people are aspiring to achieve some of the things that we've achieved, but the fact that we're still normal people, we don't have it all figured out, helps people.
And I think also understanding that like your heart is different to other people's heart. Like just because like it's not the most gnarliest thing you've ever heard, it's still the hardest thing that you've gone through, or one of the hard things that you've gone through. So like comparing, that's, to be honest, like even on this podcast, like when I reach out to friends and guests, they know that this is a mental health podcast and they've heard like some of the stories that we've shared on this, which some have been really gnarly. But they're like, oh, I don't have a thing, or like, I don't, like my story isn't as bad as that. Yeah. I'm like, mate, like your heart is different to everyone, like everyone else's heart, and it's still like a hard thing that you've gone through. But it's not just about that. It's about like other like balance and like even the positive psychology space. Like what did you do and what are the tools that you use every day? So it's like everyone's different, and I think comparing yourself to other people in this space, like I don't think that's the play.
Correct.
Yeah.
Comparison's good if it's moving you in the right direction. I think if it's something to aspire, like if you're looking at someone and go, okay, I aspire to be like them, what are the qualities or the way that they conduct themselves that I can adopt from them? That's what I was saying. I sort of did in that men's circle was I like that, but I dislike that. So I'll take that and try and implement that into my own life. But if you're comparing and it's making you feel like you're not enough, stop it.
Mate, that bit there, like that feeling of not enough, I think that is something that is prevalent in a lot of people, hey? Especially in like professional sports, like that obviously there's a high achiever mindset, and I think a lot of high achievers have that little like bit of insecurities around like, oh, am I good enough? I know I've struggled with that over the years, and it's interesting to see like how people operate. I did a podcast with a guy called Justin Canusi. He's a big on socials, Lululemon athlete. He's got a gym in Harpenden in London. Cool dude, like really cool dude. But his whole mindset, it was so refreshing because he's like, I'm not comparing myself. He's like, for me, it's like, it's real weird. He's like, I don't compare myself to anyone. Like, I don't have because I was like, do you have this feeling to want to win and be the best you can be? Because he does all these physical challenges and does all these things. He's like, man, it's like, you would think that, but I just don't. Like, ever since I was a kid, like Ollie Marchon and him are like really good mates. And Ollie asked him the same question. It's like, I just don't have it. I don't have that. I don't have the feeling of comparing myself to anyone else but me. Like, I just want to be better than who I was yesterday. Like, and don't get me wrong, like I'm still striving to be the best. I want to be the best dad I can be. I want to be the best gym owner. I want to be the best manager. I wear my heart on my sleeve. Like, I'm very open about my emotions, but I just want to be the best I can be. Like, that's it. And I was like, I want to operate on that level.
I love that.
I was like, I took that as soon as you said, I was like, I shut everything else off, because like we were talking about the Australian like tall poppy syndrome in the ice before, and I was like, I fucking hate it, and I feel like I've been in that space when I was younger playing footy, and like you want to get over, you want to play pro, you want to be in the top 17, and looking back on it now, I was like, I want to be as far away from that as possible. I want to help mates, and like even we're talking about like building business, like, well, how do we help people? Yeah. And because I think like generally just like positive like feeds positive, I think.
For sure. Yeah. Do you feel like you're there now, like where you feel worthy and enough?
Yeah, I think it's something that I'm still working on. It's something that I think has like been so in me for so long. It's so funny, Zach, because me and my partner talk about this all the time. Not all the time, but it is one of the things that I think I still struggle with, that I want to be better at. Yeah, I think it's evolving. What about you?
I'm the same. Yeah. I feel there are moments where I'm at peace. Like the 30 marathons rowing was to prove a point to other people, and the 58 was for me. I feel the media, I feel people bring it back to there should be more, or there should be the next competition. The thing that I'm getting now is like, you're gonna try Ned's record, or like everyone's comparing me to other athletes. In endurance space, which is cool. However, I want to have a breather from that for a moment. Like I'm trying to have a family, and there's other things that I want to explore and experience as well. And also want to dial in like a fast half now or whatever. But everyone's just like, surely you're running across Australia now or something like that. So.
But why do we have to do that? Like why do we always have to top it?
That's it. Like that's my thing. And then you're like, oh, do I have to, like, am I going to be irrelevant if I don't? Do I need to give the people what the people want? Like, and that's a tough thing to, I guess, battle with, because people's expectations, like, regardless of how confident you are in yourself or certain you are in yourself, it can still weigh on you. Yeah. And you then also think about like, okay, well, if this many people want me to do it, my sponsors want me to do it. Like, what's the upside how could that benefit what I'm already doing? Yeah. However, I always just keep coming back to like, where do I see myself in the next couple of years? And there's always going to be a trade-off, and maybe that is the trade-off for the next 5 years, so that I can hopefully have a kid and do all those other things, to the level that I want to. And it's a constant dance, and some days I'm feeling awesome about it. Other days I'm like, oh, maybe I'm doing the wrong thing. But Yeah, it's tough.
I get a theme of like being authentic.
Yep.
What I hear in that. Again, I refer back to Justin's podcast because I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed his perspective on it. But he's big on TikTok or big on socials about like he's like mornings. So like the 4 a.m. get up, go to training, do work. He's dancing, he's doing, and like that's the stuff that people love to see.
Yeah.
Doing hard things, like doing these hard things, and like that's his morning. But now he's just like, well, I've got a couple kids at home. And I'm not striving to do this big physical challenges. So me showing up on social media, doing that stuff while it gets really great clicks and views, it's not for how I'm being authentic.
Yeah.
And so he moved into this like daddy diaries thing where it's like him being a dad, and people love that. But he's like, it's interesting. People will comment saying, oh, bring back the 4 a.m. is just like, well, that's not in my phase of life at the moment.
Yeah.
So it's just like, if you want to follow me for me, like you get the good, bad, and the ugly. It's like, this is how I'm showing up. If you don't like it, unfollow me. He's like,
that's amazing.
He's like, and I looked at that, I was like, I think when you're genuinely being authentic, it's just like, no one else can copy that. And it's just so you being you. Do you reckon?
I'm glad you shared that, because I felt a lot of pressure because I haven't been doing any big run. Like I tried a 100-mile the other week for that reason. I'm like, oh, people are constantly asking me, maybe I need to just go belt myself. But then I guess a question for you, why do you feel people love watching these hard things?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's because they might inspire them to want to do something. Like there's a guy, Rory Warnock, he did the UTA 100 recently, and he just brought out this really beautiful documentary. He's a breath coach, really into the mental health space, struggled with mental health before. We did a really cool podcast with him, but he did captured this beautiful documentary of him doing the 100. I was sitting there with my partner, and she's just like, I feel so inspired right now. And so I think part of like why people document it is to share that feeling, to be inspired. But personally, I agree what you said about like reaching your potential. Like I think we cap ourselves and we think that we're only capable of so much. So when you do that stuff, you're like, oh, wow, I can do so much more. You obviously reckon,
But even like showing up authentically and like bringing people on the seasons, as opposed to, this is where I think social media can be scary and detrimental, is people are wanting the clicks, they're wanting the likes and the share, all the engagement. And so they'll just jump on trends, and you're like, who actually are you? Like you seem to be just doing the same, like the new trend every week to try and get likes and stuff, but show me you, like show me because that's what I loved about social media when they brought stories out originally. A lot of people, everyone could take the nice photos and the beautiful captions, everyone could do that. But then when you started seeing people show up on camera, and you're like, they're nothing like what they're pretending to be. And I was like, this is them. And that's what I loved. I really love people who use stories and then video, but now it's like AI is taking over and crazy stuff.
But then even seeing now, like, because there's so much professional footage, like people are capturing stuff at such a high level. But then you see the iPhone video of someone just capturing it super authentic.
Yeah.
They're the ones that like shoot off because people are like, oh, like craving for people who are being authentic. Mate, there are a couple of things before we do wrap things up because I am conscious of time. I do want to zoom in on that time when you were like, day 5, legs were cooked. I've heard you say before, like it was the worst amount of pain you've ever been in on previous episodes. I think like what I wanted to learn and what I want to try and get from you is like, how do you flip that switch? Like even when you were walking around, you said this wave came over me. And I've been in similar stages where like you literally think you can't get through it. And I'm like, well, how do you do it? Like, what is that little thing? Is it like, I don't know, is it a matter of like getting runs on the board, like doing it consistently? Is it a matter of like perception and thinking about like other people who might be in worse spaces? Like, because I know there's a lot of people like who are doing maybe a hard event or even just like a hard period of life. How do they like, what's the things that you like can actually switch that mindset? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, a lot, as you said, like conditioning up until that point. But if I were to just give you one simple thing is like you look at 2 choices. You always have 2 choices. And in that instant, on that day, both of the choices sucked. And I think what most people go, there must be a third choice, a choice that I like. And they'll keep looking for it and they get distracted. For me, it was 2 choices. The first one was I quit. I'll go sit in the van now, and instantly it's like I get a nice meal, I get to put my feet up and I'm like, oh, how good. But the consequences of that is I've let down the sponsors, I haven't raised the funds that we were going to raise for mental health, and I haven't seen what I believe I'm capable of. I've just taken the easy route because it was cold. That sucked. I did not like that at all. The second one was, in the moments like, I just keep pushing through the most insane amount of pain I've ever experienced, and I keep walking in this cold, and I finished the marathon. That sucked even more. However, that was going to move me closer to where I wanted to get to. It was going to give me a better opportunity to raise the funds that we were going to go for mental health. It would allow me to show people that I'm suffering. Everyone goes through periods of suffering in their life, but we get to choose to take that next step, and it's just one foot in front of the other. And that's all I then focused on. And I was like, this is it. Like, because I feel like I had nothing left. But every step that I took, I was showing that if you just hold on for one more step, you can get there. And I finished that. And that then enabled me to do so every day. Every single day was that same battle. And the boys had to get me out of bed and get on the road again. And it's like, giddy up, let's go. And I hated that. But when I was sitting there, I'm like, option A or option B? I'm going to go option B because that's moving me towards the life that I want. Option B is not, and I'm going to go home and I'm not going to be happy with myself. Yeah, I love that, man. I think that's really cool. And even when you like tell people like 58 marathons in 58 days, like it's gnarly. Like even when we were making coffees before, I was telling Angus who was out front, I was like, oh, this is what we're doing. Like Lockie ran 58 marathons. He's like, what the fuck? Like he's like, that's gnarly. And I think what I am super interested in recently, since doing the UK trip where we meet up with Ollie and Mary Fowler and all these just like super high performers, like building capacity, like doing 58 marathons in 58 days amongst all the other stuff that you've done. How do you build capacity? Like what is, because obviously like no one, I don't think many people could just jump in and do something like that. How do you navigate building up to something like that from a like physical level, but then also from a mental space as well? A mental would have been the progression over the years. So I didn't just wake up and decide I wanted to do it. It literally started in 2015 when I ran the first event, which was just a workout, but then it went to 12 hours, 24 hours and 30 marathon. So I was proving to myself, I was building evidence or stacking evidence that I could do these multi-day endurance things. I started learning what I needed to eat or how I could back up and recover. So from a mental standpoint, and even, so I had a coach for this and he was like, okay, well, we're just going to train for one marathon. That's the goal because we can't risk you getting injured. And I was like, fair play, that makes sense. But for my peace of mind, I went off the training plan and ran a couple of back-to-back marathons in Nashville. Just so I knew that mentally this is what it would take, this is how I'd feel the next day. I had to do that. Had I not done that, would have... You think that worked? I think so for me, because when you're doing these multi-days, you are not only just training physically. Physically is like such a small part of it, I believe. Like I was very fortunate that I had obviously a weightlifting background and stuff that I believe made me stronger to back it up. So I didn't get any other injuries aside from the one that I put on myself. But mentally, because there's so many opportunities for you to tap out, so many opportunities every day. It's like it's the weather. You check the weather, and some days it's -20, or it's fresh snow, or you blisters, or whatever it was. We just didn't want to do it. Like every day, you're fighting with quit or don't quit. And that just comes through one, having a compelling vision or a big why behind why you want to do it, but also conditioning yourself when you're leaning towards the no. How do you pull yourself back from the ledge, so to speak? Man, I love it because like selfishly, I ask because I want to do more of this stuff. Like I think it's super inspiring. Like watching yourself and these guys and girls who are doing these cool events. Like I love sitting in like the outdoor space. Like I love adventuring. I love doing that stuff, and I love the idea of like pushing your body to the line, because you don't know where the line is until you float with it and sometimes cross it. So I think about it from like a building capacity point of view, whether it's like doing more ultra space or like leaning into the Ironman space. Me and my buddies talk about it all the time. I'm like, well, how do I like what are the, I'm very fortunate I get to talk to you. I get to talk to all these crew. I'm like, well, how do I build capacity? Like if you were, for me, like say if you were to give advice to me, finished footy like a couple years ago, have done like a couple like little ultras, like 50Ks, halves, interested in the space. How do you think I would go about my next steps? What scares you at the moment? If you think about an endurance event, what scares you? An Ironman. Okay, I would do that. Because you can't train for these things. Like you can train for marathons and stuff, but you'll never really normally in a marathon block run a marathon.
Yeah,
like you'll run 37K or whatever, and then the days when you do it.
Yeah.
So for me, I'd never run a marathon till 2021, and I've only ever official one, which was Nashville Marathon last year or the year before. Prior to that, I was like, okay, I'm going to run a marathon this weekend. I just told my buddies, it destroyed me, but it scared the crap out of me. But when I did that, I was like, I can do that without training. Awesome.
Whoa.
And so to keep it super simple, because you could, when we talk about building capacity, obviously you can do it in a healthy way, okay, which is obviously just progressive overload. Like, what do you feel you're capable at now? It might be a half marathon, or someone might be saying, 5K scares me. Awesome, do the 5K.
Yeah.
Okay, do that, and then prove to yourself that it's possible. And then you'll go, okay, well, maybe let's try 10. And that's the way I'm always looking at it. So for you, who's already done 50s and a couple of things, it's like, what's the thing that really scares you? Just do it.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Because I do think about it. I'm like, well, like, a marathon is hard, but then imagine doing 180K bike before that.
I couldn't fathom it.
And then I was like, I just can't comprehend people that do that. I think he like Iron Cowboy, who did 50 Ironmans. Like, it just, I can't describe doing one. Obviously you can, so you just got to pick it up and just do it. Have you read Michael Ester's book, The Comfort Crisis?
No.
Have you? Right. This is right up your alley. You're like this guy. He was like a journalist. I forgot who who used to write for New York Times, something like that. But he was doing this article on this guy called Vincent. Forgot the last name. Starts with D. But he was like a adventurer, photographer, just shot some stuff for Nat Geo, and so he did this incredible piece on him. And then Michael was just, the guy invited him to go out to Alaska and spend a month out there. He's just like, do you want to come and shoot some stuff and hang out? And he's just like, scared the shit out of him. He's like, mate, I live in my New York apartment. I have my aircon on all the time. I don't know if I'm up for this. And he just thought. He came up to this resolution. It's like, we're just so comfortable in life at the moment. Like, when we want food, we go to the fridge. When we're too hot, we turn the aircon on. And so anyway, he did this whole month out in Alaska, helicoptered in, grizzlies, hunting their own food, accommodation, the whole thing. That's gnarly. It's a cool book, man. And he talked about this idea of a misogi, which a heap of people have spoken about, but essentially is around doing one hard thing every year that just scares the shit out of you. That's totally left field, that you're like, how am I ever going to do this? And you do it. The thing that makes a misogi is there's a 50-50% chance of you either doing it or not doing it. So
I like that.
Yeah, because it's if you do it, great, overcoming capacity breaching, you can do all these things, you think you're capable of so much more. But then on the other side, if you don't do it, it's okay, and have that mindset and know that all the learnings that you took out of it is all right. He obviously explains it a lot better than when I'm explaining it right now. But it was having that thing where you're unsure if you can do it, super powerful. And then each year you look back, in 2017 I did the 58 marathon, whatever your thing is. And I look at that, I'm like, it's kind of interesting,
100%. And it doesn't, as you said, that hard thing is different. Some people, it's putting their first YouTube video up, right? I'm fearful of being on camera in front of my friends, but those are those things, and that's what makes life great, because you're proving to yourself you can do things that you once thought you couldn't. And it's hard to not have a level of self-confidence when you're doing that. When you're not pushing yourself, it's very easy to be down on confidence, because it's every day when you put your head on the pillow, you didn't give it your best. For me, every day I put my head on my pillow, I'm like, I crushed it today. I didn't succeed, didn't win all the things that I thought I would, or things didn't go the way that I wanted them to, but I gave it a red hot crack. And then you wake up the next day and you're like, man, I'm proud of who I am and how I'm showing up.
I love that. I think that's a beautiful place to finish. But I could park up here for hours, to be honest. But man, thank you so much for today, bro. I'm appreciative that you obviously stuck around after the marathon. Your time, I know time is super valuable. So man, thank you for that. And just the way you're showing up, I loved watching you on socials over the last a year or so. So it was cool to put some time and actually get to know you, man. So I'm very thankful, brother.
Well, thanks for all the work that you're doing as well, the conversations that you're having. I love listening. I love following along as well. you're leading the way in the podcast space, and I just love being around high achievers. And, you know, as much as that was for me with the 58 marathons, you're doing it in all the work that you do. You've just got a high standard, and it's hard not to want to be around. So thanks for all the work you're doing too.
Thank you, bro. Yeah, dog. Oh, and we finished with a clap.
Yeah, we got it.
Done.